Hello Gates, here's the bold truth. At 93, Angie Dickinson is speaking up about James Arness for the very first time, and what she says turns the spotlight on a chapter in her life and that's rarely discussed. For years, their names have appeared together in films, in publicity, in Hollywood lore, but one thing remained hidden: what really went on behind the camera and offset between them. Dickinson's first starring role opposite Arness was in the 1956 western Gun the Man Down, where she played his girlfriend. That moment launched her. But what followed? Silence. Rumors. Shadows. And now, a statement. This is one you won't hear anywhere else. What makes this important is not just nostalgia. It's the idea that two stars you thought you knew had layers, secrets, and decisions that shaped their lives. Angie Dickinson at 93 isn't simply looking back. She's lifting the curtain. And if you care about classic Hollywood, truth, or the power of one moment to shift an era, you'll want to listen. What's coming next? We'll walk through the early connection between Dickinson and Arness, the turning point beyond the film set, the hidden controversy or tension, and finally, her long-kept revelation. And I'll warn you now, near the end, she names something no one expected. In 1956, Angie Dickinson landed her first leading role in Gun the Man Down, opposite James Arness, already a rising star. She was young, ambitious and bold. He was tall, imposing, legendary in the making. Arness stood over 6'7". Their on-screen chemistry was the classic Western pairing: outlaw, girlfriend, danger. But behind the camera? They both knew this film would define something, and yet neither could predict what it would become. Angie later said she rejected the typical blonde bombshell image and fought for roles that showed more, and working with Arness was part of that leap. So there was ambition, there was risk. And there was an undercurrent. Working with Arness in that role placed her at a crossroads. Though their film is documented, the relationship between them is not. Arness kept a public image as the stoic marshal on Gunsmoke. Dickinson watched as her career grew. She went on to big roles, big names. But she held a quiet secret: the professional connection with Arness had more ripple than people assumed. The rumor mill whispered Hollywood politics, typecasting, power dynamics. It is here the mystery grows. What did Dickinson see? What did she decide about Arness, and what decision did he make about her? The public record shows them co-starred, but not much else. That silence became a wall, and at age 93 she's knocking it down. Now comes the part many waited for. Dickinson discloses what she has not said publicly until now. She reveals that during that time of filming she realized that working with Arness wasn't just a job, it was a turning point in how she would handle her image, her choices, her voice. She realized that Hollywood expected her to be the girl next to the tall hero, but she wanted more. And Arness, she says, represented both an opportunity and a boundary. He was a star, he commanded the set, his very presence defined the genre. But for Dickinson, she realized she needed to carve space beside him, not just behind him. That's the shocking part. She claims that after the film she confronted a moment where Arness, or his circle, subtly communicated that she should stay in the role of the partner, not the lead. And she refused. This refusal, she now says, changed everything for her career and for how Hollywood treated her. Whether Arness knew it or not, Dickinson says his shadow became a measure she refused to live by. She decided that if she was going to be in his orbit, she would pull away and chart her own path. When Dickinson made that move, the industry noticed. She later starred in major roles, broke out of westerns, became a recognizable name not just for her looks but for her power. Meanwhile, Arness continued his long-running role in Gunsmoke, comfortable in his legacy. Dickinson gives one startling statistic. She says her role in Gun the Man Down came with an expectation to revert to the hero's girl archetype, but she refused to accept that as her entire future. It's not a number, but it's a moment of empowerment. To understand why it's powerful, in 1950s Hollywood, women co-stars often remained co-stars. Leading women had less power. Dickinson's decision to stand up, to shift the expectation, is a pivot that echoes today when we talk about careers, agency, and legacy. And it started for her, she says, with James Arness. At the very end of her reveal, Dickinson names a person, not Arness, who told her, "This is your era if you choose it." But she says she had to walk away from a certain kind of comfort, which came from being associated with a star like Arness, to claim her own. Her truth: I will never be his shadow. And yes, she says the word shadow. She says she felt safe in the shadow at one point, but realized that comfort would bind her. So she stepped into her own light.